Mom,
Yes.
give me the controls. Don't touch anything.
Shabbat Shalom almost to everyone, and welcome to those in the room. Welcome to those of us on Zoom. We can see you all. We're waving to you, actually, and we see you waving to us. It's good to expand our universe and our community, and we ask that you keep your masks on while we're inside. Shelley and I might be taking ours off when we're leading or singing. We welcome in the Shabbat Angels, page 11, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Nora Kohan will become bat mitzvah tomorrow. I'd like to invite her up to light the Shabbat candles. And as she's coming up with her parents, if you could find someone in the row behind you or in front of you, introduce yourself and wish them a Shabbat Shalom.
I almost started to cry. It was just me trying to pull it back the tears. I was shocked because I was like reading everything else and maybe. How do we blow it up?
Pick up the microphone there, Nora. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Page 23, Psalm 96. We're going to sing a new song. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש. Page 28 at the bottom. Adonai oz le'amo yitem. Adonai oz le'amo yitem. Adonai yivarech et amo. Adonai oz
29, Lecha Dodi. Before we welcome in the Shabbat bride, just take a deep breath in and out. And take a little time for a chazavat hashavua, a review of the week. Some of the highs, some of the lows, starting with last Saturday night when we said goodbye to the Shabbat that had passed. And we entered into the new week. What were some of the highlights? And what were some of the challenges? What was a person or an event that maybe just brought a smile to your face or some softness to your heart? And what maybe were the very sad, dark moments as well? And we take that with us as we enter Shabbat. A sense of wholeness, a sense of gratitude, as we ground ourselves in Lecha Dodi, page 29.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela, shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmiyanu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'litetila, lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. לקראת שבת לכו ונכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם משוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, ב'nei Shabbat, nekabela. מקדש מלך למלוכה, ומצאים מתוך ההפכה, רב לשבת בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, ב'nei Shabbat, nekabela. התנערי מעפר כולי, הפשיט בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי, בית הלחמי, קרבה אל נפשי גאלה, lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, ב'nei Shabbat, nekabela.
Top of 30.
התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באור קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, ב'nei Shabbat, nekabela. לא תבושי ולא תתעלמי, מה תשתחחי ומה תחמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונפנתה עיר עלילה, lecha dodi, לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 ב'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Katala, Yalala, 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 Kene Shabbat, Le Kabbalat, Le Chatoni, Katala, Yalala, 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 Kene Shabbat, Le Kabbalat, Yamin Usmol, Tifrotzi, Ve'et Adonai Taritzi, Al Yad Ish Ben Parsi, Ve'nismecha Ve'nagila, Lecha Dodi Katala, Yalala, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lekabbalat, Lecha Dodi Katala, Yalala, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lekabbalat. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam v'simcha u'v'sola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lechadoni katala, yalala, 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 b'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat, lechadoni katala, yalala, 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 b'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat.
We keep the energy, page 75, Baruch Hu. Seated. Page 75. Ma'ariv Aravim, the blessing over creation and wonder and light and darkness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv Aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, u'bitbuna mishaneh itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem b'rakira kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, goler or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. U'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'mavdil ben yom u'vein layla. Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 77. Avat olam beit Yisrael amcha ahavta. You have loved the house of Israel eternally, a single unifying love. What is it to love? What is it to accept love? What is it to give love? How do we prepare ourselves? How do we open ourselves up for love? It's a hard thing to love. It's even harder sometimes to accept love and to lean into that. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We praise you, Adonai, who teaches us to love who models love for us and allows us to love others.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael
Page 79.
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
It's traditional right before Michamocha during Shema and V'ahavta, if you're wearing a talit, to take the tzitzit and to gather them all together at once. And I was thinking about how, as we're all preparing for Thanksgiving and for Hanukkah that's coming up, that I'm gathering in my children right now. My girls are coming back from college. One came yesterday, one is coming today. And this sense of really keeping close who matters to you most, especially at this time of great darkness. And so I sort of enter the Shabbat with real mixed feelings, I have to say, because on the one hand, that light is so precious, the light of those who we love. And then on the other hand, when I hear the verdict of Kyle Rittenhouse today, and just the lack of dignity and humanity that someone has to take in order to take a gun and to kill others is so upsetting. And here we live in a world where we hold both. We hold the dignity of others, and then we also witness the indignity of so many around us. That is life today. That is what we're holding on to. So may this Shabbat be a time when we can taste more of the goodness and lessen the darkness. Mi chamocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש אור התהילות עושה פלא כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש אור התהילות עושה פלא
too.
Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Leshalom, Leshalom, Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. V'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim uleshalom uleshalom. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu. Sukkot shlomecha, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, ushmor tzedkeinu uvoeinu lechayim ulshalom v'ata ve'ad olam, ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha aleinu, Sukkot shlomecha hashkivenu, hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom, hashkivenu, hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם בברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת
87 we rise.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי.
Page 93.
וגיון ליבי לפניך, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי. אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. My God, my rock, and my Redeemer, Adonai Tzuri אגיון ליבי לפניך, יהיו לרצון אמריכי.
We close our Amidah with a prayer for healing. There are just 3 words, Ana, El, Na. Please, God, heal. Heal us physically, heal us spiritually, heal us emotionally. Heal those of us struggling with mental illness, physical illness, those who find it difficult just to wake up in the morning, those who find it difficult to eat, those who find it difficult to sleep, those who are broken in mourning. El na rafana la. Please heal us.
Ana elna refana la. Ana elna refana la.
When I grew up, I rarely had guests over in my apartment. It was very small, and I was embarrassed, and there were just too many people, and so I always tried to go to other people's homes. And I never really actually learned how to be a host until I got married, and my husband Bruce taught me how to host. However, I was a very good guest. I would help clear the table. I would sleep anywhere on the floor often because most of my friends lived in apartments too, and we didn't have a lot of extra room. I was very easy to have. I didn't ask for much, and it was also sort of exciting to be in other people's spaces and to visit other families because I got to see how they did things, and I especially got to have Skippy peanut butter because I came from one of those houses in the mid-'60s and early '70s that was really healthy, only like only natural peanut butter with the oil on the top that you had to, oh my gosh, I hated that. And never iceberg lettuce, like only dark greeny lettuce. This was like the 60s, folks, and this is what we were doing in my home. So, I have to admit that today I still do all of those things except for Skippy peanut butter. That I buy. But this sort of watching from the outside, watching from the margins, really came to me this week when I was thinking about this week's portion and the idea of being a guest or a ger. Usually we translate ger as a stranger or a sojourner, but it's also an outsider looking in. Someone who inhabits the margins of society, someone who isn't quite at home in the world. And at times, all of us are gerim, right? All of us have moments in our days or in our lives when we don't quite fit in, when we wonder, hey, hold on, what's going on here? We feel out of place. A sojourner is someone who goes from this place to that place, literally or metaphorically. And this week's Torah portion is so dramatic, and it begins with such a sojourner. It begins with Jacob and Esau and their reuniting moment. Now, just remember, this is 20 years that they haven't seen each other. The background is, remember, they're twins, and Jacob steals Esau's birthright. Esau's very, very upset with Jacob, so upset that he actually wants to kill him. Jacob runs away. They haven't seen each other in 20 years. And before they do see each other, Jacob sends messengers to Esau. And the messengers are laden with all these gifts. Obviously, he's trying to butter him up, right? But what's fascinating that I never noticed before is that Jacob tells the messengers to say a certain phrase to Esau. And the phrase is, Im Lavan garti ve'achar ad ata. Say to Esau, I, Jacob, stayed with Lavan and remained until now. And you heard the words garti, right? Like ger. Jacob is telling Esau through messengers that during the past 20 years, he stayed with Laban. Okay, fine. But Rashi, the 11th century commentator, understands it differently. He looks at the word garti, that he stayed with, that he was a sojourner, that he was a stranger, that he was on the margins. And he says that what Jacob is really trying to tell Esau is that he's not a threat. I've been like a nobody. I've been a nobody for 20 years. I'm not going to be a threat to you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Another teaching that Rashi came up with that really made me smile is that if you take the letters Garti, I was a stranger, a traveler, and you add up the numbers of the letters, you know how Aleph is 1 and Bet is 2 and Gimel is 3. If you add up the numbers for Garti, it equals 613, which is the number of mitzvot in the Torah, right? And so Rashi says the other message that Jacob was trying to give Esau is, oh, and I'm a holy person also, right? So don't worry, I'm just a nobody, and also I'm a good guy, right? I'm not going to hurt you. So nice teachings, they made me smile, but what I really loved this week was something I learned from the Sfat Emet. This third interpretation of the word Garti. Now, I have to remind you who the Sfat Emet was. He lived in Poland in the late 1800s. He was orphaned by the time he was 8 years old. He was raised by his grandparents. And during the Russo-Japanese War, many of his young followers were drafted into the Russian army and sent into battle and died. And he himself, the Sfat Emet, died when he was only 57. Okay, so in 1893, he taught the following. And you know what was happening in 1893 in Eastern Europe. That was like the height of the pogroms, right? This is what the Sfat Emet taught. He taught at the moment when Jacob leaves one temporary home, the home of his father-in-law, Lavan, and journeys back to his birthplace to see Esau, he contemplates the spiritual power of rootlessness or strangerness. Remember, to be a ger is to be on the outside, looking in, the passer-througher, the unintegrated member of the group, someone who's not settled in their body or space. And the Sfat Emet is saying that in that uncomfortable place of liminality, that is what establishes a spiritual life. He even says, quote, that every person should know that we are each a foreigner in this world. Just sit with that for a moment. Think of a time when you have felt disconnected, on the outside, looking in. I mean, my primary feelings are feelings of loneliness, self-doubt, insecurity. But the Sfat Emet is saying, actually, precisely at those times, lean in. That's when we can build our spiritual foundation. And that feeling of discomfort can actually be the basis of reaching in, reaching out, and reaching up to a power beyond us that some of us call God. Why? Why at this moment is that the spiritual foundation? He doesn't say. But I'm wondering if maybe it's because at those times we're reminded of our humility. We don't know everyone. We don't know everything. We're limited. Also, it forces us to be aware of the other, like being a guest in someone's home. And also, sitting with discomfort can bring about growth as much as we hate it. And then here's the kicker. At the same time, I had to look this up because I'm like, what? At the same time, the Sfat Emet is teaching this. His contemporary, the Degel Machane Ephraim, who's the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, he taught that the ultimate stranger is actually God. He taught, quote, the Holy Blessed One is like a ger in this world, because the divine does not have anyone upon whom to rest the divine presence, since we humans are limited. In other words, in my words, he's teaching that usually when we feel like strangers, we seek out other people that might relate to us. Oh yeah, isn't that crazy? I was somewhere too and I didn't get that either, right? We find people to connect with that can relate to our feelings of being on the margins. But God doesn't have a partner to do that with. And therefore, God is the ultimate ger, the ultimate stranger in this world. And the irony is that God created us, and yet, like a parent whose child has grown and flown, the divine's alienated from the very beings that the divine created, alone and vulnerable and misunderstood. Paradoxically, the divine's infinite greatness becomes the source of the divine's constant loneliness. So I'm sitting with what it might feel like to commune with the divine in our own mutual displacement. To imagine with deep empathy that God is whispering to each of us, let's reside together on the margin, and I'll meet you there. Shabbat Shalom. There have been many deaths in the past month that have been very difficult, that have brought us actually not to the margin, but to each other. And many of you are sitting here who are struggling in their first week and month of mourning. And so during this first week of mourning, we're thinking of you, Nancy, who just lost your father, Dr. Arnold Derwin. We're thinking of Neely Irwin, whose father, Philip Margot, died. And also, we're sending love to you, Michael, your dear friend, Danny Snodgrass, who passed away this week. And during this month of Shloshim, we're also thinking of Charles Richard Pogue, John Pogue's father, Anthony Michael Salvato, the father of Laura, Claude Maratti, the husband of Jennifer and father of David, and Bruce Corwin, the husband of Tony and father of Danny. We also remember the yahrzeits of Tilly Croman, Alan Lewis Gold, Maurice Goldman, Martha Heller, Irving Kaplan, William Kaplan, David Klebanow, Ida London, Robert Neiman, Jeanette Rosen, Ruth Salins, Etta Satsbury, Lily Turner, Edith Wall, and Diana Wozniak. If I did not mention a name of someone who you were in mourning for, if you would rise and say their name. Hi. Thank you, Michael, love. And if I did mention a name, if you would rise now. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch shar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May you all be comforted among the mourners of Jerusalem. And now we rise with the mourners. We're on page 292 as they lead us in Mourner's Kaddish. 292. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash me rabba v'alma divrach hirutei v'almich malchutei v'chayechon of yomechon v'chayet tekol beit Yisrael v'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam al mei al maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brechu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
Shalom, B'Roma, Oseh Shalom, B'Roma, Hu Yaseh,
take a seat if you'd want. Nora can come up again. You're going to be leading us in Kiddush and Motzi. And as she's coming up, a couple of things. One is you have these handy-dandy, beautiful new pamphlets on your seats. I want to thank Deanne Kainer for putting these together. She is new at the synagogue. Please walk up to her and introduce yourself to her. And she put these together. A couple of things I want to call to your attention. First of all, a Hanukkah postcard went out to all active members at the synagogue this week. Each night of Hanukkah, we're going to be doing a different candle lighting event outside in the courtyard. First night is going to be on Zoom, and all the other nights we're going to be out in the courtyard. Friday night we'll actually be doing services in here, and we're going to be lighting our Chanukkiot at the beginning of services. Please go online, RSVP to one of the 8 nights. You should have gotten a postcard if you are a member. We'd love to see you. Also, the 5th night of Hanukkah is going to be the Guy Mintus Trio. He's an Israeli composer, and he's going to be playing Gershwin music with a groovy Middle Eastern element to it that is sort of prayer-like. I don't know what that sounds like.
Amazing pianist.
Amazing.
Really great.
So that's the 5th night of Hanukkah at 7:30. We're also looking for volunteers to set up for Christmas dinner, and that'll be before Christmas dinner as well as Christmas Day itself at the church on Hollywood and Highland. And finally, the women's retreat is going to happen March 11th through 13th. If you've gone before, you know how fabulous it is. If you haven't, treat yourself. It's a weekend away in Simi Valley, lots of nature, lots of walking and singing and just being and communing and creating community. So sign up for that as well. We are on page 294 for Kiddush and Motzi. Okay, Nora.
Here. Let's see. How about put that here? There you go. And you can hold that up. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereishit ki hu yom tefillah למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים.
All right, and then the challah. Here you go.
Baruch
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi
lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Everyone, let's stand up for the final song. Please make sure you meet someone you don't know after services as we create community together.
And let's pass around the challah. Eloheinu